We share a certain history.
What is going on, everyone? We are back with another horror movie review. I am Depraved.
I'm Hellcat.
And together we are...
Hella Depraved.
And we are talking to you guys today about the brand new Scream 6.
Right.
This is a commercial break for our
In Search of
Darkness reviews.
Right. Because, we gotta keep up on the pulse of the times, as it were.
So, Scream 6, directed by Matt Bettinelli, Open, and Tyler Gillette. Written by James Vanderbilt and Guy Busick. Based on characters by Kevin Williamson. Produced by William Sherrock, James Vanderbilt, Paul Neinstein, starring a bunch of people we'll talk about later. Cinematography is done by Brett Juswitz. Edited by Jay Pridgen. Music is done by What? Look, everybody has these weird ass last names that I can't read.
Jude Kowitsk and Jay Prichidney.
Sure. Brian Tyler, Stephen Faulkner did music.
Right.
Production companies looks like it's Spyglass, Project X, and Radio Silence Productions, distributed by Paramount.
Right.
Released this past Friday, March 10th, 2023.
Right.
Runtime of 122 minutes. Budget of $35 million, and so far in the box office has made $67.1 million.
Right. With 2-3 days. Yeah.
Right.
Congratulations, guys. All right.
Anyways, so we did watch it.
We did.
Baby, hit him with the blood.
Okay, so this is a direct sequel to Scream 5, and I mean that in more than just a franchise sort of way. It follows the same two sisters. It's a year later. They have moved on so that the younger sister can attend college. And her older sister is still being the overprotective sister. I mean, granted, given the circumstances of a year prior,
and
makes sense.
Before we get too far into this, please note...
Spoilers.
I like the movie.
That's a huge note for anybody that knows him.
Yeah, I hate Scream as a franchise. I like this movie.
Right.
She likes this movie.
Which is not as huge.
Watch this movie.
I'll explain, but there's also spoilers.
From here on, no. Spoilers.
Yeah. So, opening sequence of this. A film student from the college kills his film professor, and then he himself receives a ghost face call, and he and his roommate are both ceremonially disposed by another ghost face. And you find out that he was trying to complete...
To be fair, he thought he was talking to his roommate.
The whole time. Right, but...
And the guy was even playing it up like he was the roommate until he led him to the fridge.
Where his roommate
was actually being kept.
Right. You find out that the film students, both of them, their end goal was to complete the film that the ghost face from Scream 5 was making.
Right.
And they were... The film professor's death was a cold test run of being Ghostface because they were going to kill the sisters that the Ghostface from Scream 5 failed to do in order to complete his film. So, anyway, that's how it begins. And then we see the sisters again. We see that the big sister is still being overprotective. The younger sister wants to get on with her life. They all think that this Ghostface incident is sort of in the past because the older sister, Sam, killed her boyfriend, who was the Ghostface from Scream 5. I mean, I know that sounds really convoluted. Anyway, then they find out that there is actually more Ghostface murders happening. They run from a Ghostface in the Bottega. the film student, murder is found, and a ghost face mask has been dropped there. One is dropped at the Bottega where the girls are attacked.
And all the masks that are being dropped are actual masks from past Ghostface killers.
Right. They find that out once they hook up with the cop that is in charge of all the scenes, who happens to be the father of one of their roommates. They continue getting attacked, and that roommate, whose father is the cop, is killed, you think. Gale Weathers shows up on the scene, and it's really funny because Tara, the younger sister, punches her. It's fantastic. It was a well-delivered punch. Right. And then at the station...
Which she then later tries to apologize for. Gale's like,
You're not sorry. She's like, no, not really. At the station, an FBI agent shows up, and it turns out that it's Kirby, who was also attacked by a Ghostface killer. And so it's just like everybody but Sydney that's still alive kind of shows up at one point or another. Anyway, as they're getting attacked and trying to discover who the new Ghostface killer is, they realize that they kind of need to start setting a trap, because they don't know who it is. They come across where these masks are coming from, which is an old movie theater that was rented out, I believe, in one of the film students that is now deceased's name. And it has all of the murderabilia, like the legit stuff, all of the knives, the masks, I don't know, bits and pieces of everyone's life. Like Gale sees pictures of Dewey. You know, the older sister Sam is still having visions of Billy Loomis, the Ghostface from Scream 1, who is her father, telling her kind of, I don't know, a killer's perspective on what to do, like don't trust anyone, you know, pick up my knife kind of thing. They go to this theater to try and trap Ghostface and, you know, get locked in. Like, their trap becomes a trap for them. And at that point, the people that are in the theater trapped are Kirby, the FBI agent, the two sisters, that's Sam and Tara Carpenter, and Chad, who is the brother of Mindy, they're the other two characters from Scream 5 that made it and transferred to the same college. So they all stuck together. And Chad gets attacked first. They think it's Kirby because the cop calls them and he tells them that she's been expelled from the FBI because she was starting to lose her shit. They don't turn on her, but they run from her, and then she gets attacked, and then they find out that there's two Ghostface again, which is pretty standard for Scream. And
but two turns into like three.
Well,
and then it almost, the way they filmed it, we actually had a moment where we were like, is there like 12 of them? Is it like a clan of Ghostface? Right.
Well, so there were only two Ghostface though, because then it was the way they filmed it. But then it turns out that there's three baddies. And we kind of knew before the reveal what was happening. We knew the cop was dirty. Because, you know, you have found out that the roommate that was his daughter that you think is dead is not dead, but they have discussed the fact that the brother was killed, and that apparently happened around Scream 5 time frame. You find out that the son that was killed was actually Richie, which was the older sister Sam's boyfriend, who was the Ghostface in Scream 5. And it turns out that this is sort of family revenge, where the cop is the father, the roommate was the sister, and this geeky guy that was sort of a outlier to their entire circle was brother number 2. And Now they're going for family revenge against the sisters because they think it is Sam's entire fault that their brother is dead, which is kind of true, but kind of not, because, he tried to kill them first. Tit for tat, So, the girls kick ass. I mean, I don't think you can say it any other way. And honestly, other than Gail, who does die.
No, she doesn't.
No, she doesn't. She doesn't. I was like, wait, pause.
Because she's at the hospital.
So the film students at the beginning die. The girlfriend of Mindy dies.
The 2 film students.
Yeah.
The teacher.
Right. Girlfriend of Mindy dies. She's the one that fell off the ladder.
No, she doesn't die. That's the daughter.
No.
Oh, no.
The daughter was in the bathtub.
The daughter was in the bathtub.
Yeah,
right.
The girlfriend of Mindy dies.
Right. So that's 4. And then you get the guy that works inside the gas station.
Right. He does die. But all the other people that you think Ghostface has killed, so Gail, Mindy, Chad, Kirby, those are the ones that they kind of fake you out thinking that they might have died. And honestly, the only one I believed was Gail originally.
Right. Because it would have made sense to kill her off. But then again,
it would have. She might be the next Ghostface.
For plot-wise.
But they all make it.
Beneficial.
Which is kind of unlike a lot of Screams in that pretty much all your core characters live.
Which is a disappointment for me, but that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah, kind of. But it was fun in that there were a lot of there was a lot of Easter eggs from past movies in this,
Right. There's gonna be a weird cut here. Give me half a second. I'm good.
He was thirsty. So the synopsis is a little hard to follow, just like pretty much any of these that have so many like overarching story mini shorts within them, and also all of the different like fake outs, and like this one has the 3 killers, and and it is Mindy's job in this one to be the Stu of the original, not Stu, the Seth Green's character, telling basically all of the rules of horror movies. So it is determined that they are now in a franchise.
She's one I thought for sure was gonna die. Like, she gets gutted.
No, it's her girlfriend that gets gutted.
No. She's the one that got stabbed in the subway.
She does get stabbed in the subway. It was her girlfriend that legit got gutted, though. Yeah.
But I thought for sure she was a goner.
Yeah. But then she's relatively spry at the very end in terms of like running up to her brother. It's weird, guys.
It's a little unrealistic at that point.
That one was unrealistic. That one was unrealistic. So, I mean, that's the plot. Where do you want to go from?
I'm going to talk a little bit about some things that I both like and don't like about the plot.
Okay.
We're going to talk about the plot.
Okay, sounds good.
So here's the thing. Like I said, this is the first movie since the first movie. Wait, I just said that. This is the... No, I was correct in how I was saying that.
You liked one.
This is the first one since the first one.
Right.
That I like.
Right.
I've disliked every other Scream. And here's the thing. I'm not even a huge fan of the first one or this one. I like them.
Mm-hmm. Right.
If I have choices, these are usually never going to be amongst the ones I would pick, right?
I think you ranked this one above number 1, though, in terms of...
I don't know.
Okay. About equal for you.
And there's reasons for it. I don't like the whole... I don't need supernatural killer, but I need imposing.
Yeah,
for the very least.
He doesn't like the fumbling.
And I don't like the fumbling, tripping over, fucking killers. So this one really didn't have that.
Yeah.
Which I really liked.
Did a good job, yeah.
And I also love that you could tell when it's Dad dressed up as Ghostface, right, because he is imposing.
Right.
He's a bigger guy.
He's also much more rage psychotic than his kids.
Right.
It's definitely it offends him that they would have taken out his oldest son, because he keeps emphasizing that his firstborn, his first son, his virile. He uses the word. He's very misogynistic. Yes, it's great.
A couple things I still dislike. I know it's a staple, but I'm kind of over there always being multiple killers. I'm tired of always at least getting one of the killers right. Not once have they ever thrown a swerve so far at me that I've been like, oh my god, I didn't see that coming.
Right.
Like, when surprise twists to me
are a surprise
are
twist.
Like, you watch the first Saw movie the very first time, and when Kramer gets up off of the floor that you've been watching this entire movie, and he's been in the scene and then that happens, your mind gets blown.
Right.
Or the end of Dead Silence, the puppet movie, where you find out that Dad's a puppet, and he's been a puppet the entire movie, but you think he's an actual... And like, those are mind-blowing moments. But
also true.
I always feel like there's so many tells in the movies.
Mm-hmm. Now, there is one Scream, and I can't remember which one it is, that there is only one killer, but there's only one in a 6-movie franchise.
Right.
The rest are at least doubles.
For me, I called the dad kind of early on.
And the awkward...
And she got the...
mop top.
The awkward kid.
Right. I also assumed that Quinn, the girl that was supposedly deceased...
Right. That was the only one that ended up surprising me because, like, you think she dies. And I didn't put 2 and 2 together for whatever fucking reason.
I didn't assume that she died, and here's the thing.
Well, actually, I think it was my own stupidity that got me caught up there, though. For some reason, I thought the cop's daughter was the one that fell off the ladder.
Oh, okay. I could see why you would.
And even in my mind, I'm sitting here saying the cop's definitely the one that probably got the kill.
Mm-hmm.
Or is probably one of the killers.
Right.
So I was thinking to myself that maybe whoever was in this... Because there's always 2 killers.
Right.
I was thinking maybe whoever this Ghostface isn't as close to this lady as what the dad would be.
Right.
So in order to sell it...
The cop had to be...
Thinks that maybe if he dumps her, maybe there's a chance she'll live and it looks more realistic.
Right.
Because it was only like a 2.5-story drop. That's a livable scenario.
Well, except for, like, they bounced off the...
Although, well, she did bounce off the lid, and she was bleeding profusely from her fucking abdomen.
She was, gutted. So, the major tell for the roommate that actually was his daughter, there were a couple. First of all, they all go to the apartment because safety in numbers. They're all sitting in the living room. None of them have gone to sleep except for Quinn. And not only has she gone to her bedroom to go to sleep, but she has put on like a pink, silky, negligee type nightie. And like, I mean, there's just like the fear that everybody else was feeling. And there's like 6 of them. She was not.
Right.
You know, and it was just like, nobody sleeps that way.
Right.
You know, so...
I did love... Okay, so...
Plus, her brother was one of the victims from a year ago. So she should have had the level of fear that everyone, you know...
But then there's always, at least in this one, they always try to give you reasons to think it could be people. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But then there are reasons that they're so unrealistic. Or not unrealistic, but they don't make sense. Right?
Right.
Like, they spend so much of this movie trying to make you think it's the older sister's boyfriend or lover.
Oh, yeah.
They have moments.
The cutie from across the way.
The cute guy from across the hall. They have moments where they try to make you think, maybe it's him, maybe it's not. I
never thought it was
and
him.
Not once did I ever, I was like, no, it's definitely not him. I did love the fight sequence he did actually have, though.
Yeah.
He was whooping his ass.
Absolutely.
I don't know which kid it was. But it definitely wasn't Dad.
Yeah, no, that was actually I did enjoy that. The other one that they were trying to convince you that it was, but it wasn't, was the Mop Top, who does turn out to be one of them. But true to Scream franchise ways, they did the same thing with Stu and Skeet Ulrich's character in the first one, where they were like, no, it couldn't be me because I was here. And then that's, there's 2 Ghostface in that one. There's 3 in this one. So
my only complaint with this, one of my other complaints, not only, my other complaint with this one is one I'm actually having. It's a complaint. It's now a 2-movie complaint. Mm. I am not a big fan of the Billy Loomis.
Excuse that.
Psych shit.
Oh, you mean where she's actually like visualizing?
Yeah, she's visualizing talking to him.
Right.
And I'm just like, this is kind of stupid.
Yeah.
It's because I'm not a big fan of it.
So here's my thing.
I get why they're doing it. I'm just not.
Yeah, here's my thing. And this is why I did like this what I consider a 2-part in the franchise, 5 and 6. I like that Sam is the biological child.
I do like that
of Billy Loomis.
That's not a problem for me.
No, yeah, I like that it brings up the whole nurture versus nature argument, because again, Tara is her younger sister by their mom, and Sam chooses her sister and therefore her mom's genetics over her father's. However, her father's win out when they're threatened, because her stab work is immaculate. I'm just gonna say.
Right.
So I think I agree with you in that the way that they chose to present it bothers me slightly, because it makes it like she probably should be in a psych ward. Right. Because it makes it a very real visual hallucination, which says she might be schizophrenic. But I'm not exactly sure how they would have presented her just having this side of her that is more inclined to be just inherently violent.
Right.
Without doing this sort of like Skeet Ulrich cameos. I mean, like, I get what you're saying, but I really like the big discussion that they're bringing up, and also just the questions, because these can be very campy and very like surface level.
Right.
But when you have stuff like that's in here, it does bring up deeper conversations and a bit more like when she drops her dad's Ghostface mask at the end after rescuing it. She carried it out, like she wore it to kill off the cop, but she brought it out with her. She didn't just leave it in the building. And then at the end, you can tell she picks her sister over continuing down this road of following in her father's legacy, and just like drops it to the ground. And it's just, I don't know. I also like some of the odes to previous stuff that they did. I mean, granted, there was the whole setup with the Ghostface mask and murderabilia, like we said, that basically Richie, the Ghostface from 5, had collected. But like in one part towards the end, Red Right Hand, the song starts playing, and that is on the soundtrack in Scream, the original. There's just fun stuff like that takes place, So, in terms of casting...
All right, so I wanted to get to the casting. By the way, this just goes to further express why I dislike Scream and most of its fans. Okay?
He said that. Yes, he said that.
This is jokingly, but it also
right.
Not jokingly. Okay, I want you guys to understand this. any other cast I have ever read from in my life.
Right.
It is just the name of the actor.
Oh, this actually tells you...
And the name of the fucking characters that they play.
Okay.
And this one's all like, Melissa Barrera as Sam Carpenter, the illegitimate daughter of Billy Loomis, the survivor of the Woodsboro legacy murders from Scream.
Right. I mean, like, again,
Why?
like I said, the plot was kind of convoluted when you have to tell it in synopsis form. So, I mean, unless I read it from this, which honestly, that's not a synopsis. That is a novel. So this does help.
Right. Jasmine Savoy Brown as Mindy Meeks Martin. Jack Champion as Ethan Landry. Henry Chesney as Christopher Stone. Mason Gooding as Chad Meeks Martin. Roger L. Jackson was the voice of Ghostface. Liana Liam Liberto as
Liberato?
Liberato. Liberatio.
Is the not
Quinn.
killed daughter of the cop roommate Ghostface.
Right. Dermot Mulroney. Mulroney. Dermot.
Okay.
As Wayne Bailey. He's the bad guy.
He's the cop.
Devin Nakota as Anika Kayako. Jenna Ortega as Tara Carpenter, who, by the way, is solidifying her status
As a Scream Queen.
as a cult icon.
Yeah. I mean, like, she's...
Doing Scream, doing
Wednesday. Yeah.
She's going to be Lydia.
Well, Lydia's daughter.
Lydia's
is what
daughter.
they're saying. Well, they're in negotiations.
And-
I hope she is. I quite enjoy her.
Right.
And she's cute as a button.
Tony Revolry as Jason Carvey.
Oh
Josh
my God.
Segarra as Danny Brackett. Skeet Ulrich coming back as
Reprising his role.
Billy. Psycho
Right.
Billy. Samara Weaving as Laura Crane. Hayden Penetrant as Kirby Reed. And Courtney Cox as Gail.
Right.
Gail Weathers.
I'd also like to say Melissa Barrera does an amazing job as Sam. She's the older sister.
Right.
And the one with the fancy stab work, honestly. Like, she reminds me a lot of what is her name? Eliza.
The therapist died too. We didn't mention him.
Well, I was actually going to mention that in a minute. Eliza starts with a D. She was Faith, the second vampire hunter from the series Buffy the Vampire Hunter. Melissa reminds me of her. Anyway, some of the other odes to previous stuff was that the Ghostface killers in this specifically picked people and places that were similar to what the other Ghostface had targeted, and then were leaving the old Ghostface mask at the scene of the crime. And one of the past kills was a single therapist or something like that, so that they picked her therapist, the older siblings, to kill and then leave the Ghostface mask there.
Another thing that was also absolutely unrealistic, and another problem I had with the plot, was the therapist was actually going to go to the police to tell them that there was something wrong with Sam.
Oh.
And the way it was expressed would never have actually happened unless the therapist is just a terrible therapist.
Well.
And it's because she admitted she enjoyed killing.
She said it felt right.
Or it felt right to kill the dude.
Yeah, she
In the
said
first-
she
in the
was
last
worried
movie.
something was wrong with her because when she killed him,
It felt
it
right.
felt right.
But she doesn't have the urge to kill other people.
Right.
And,
So she would not be a harm to herself or to others at that moment.
And immediately he's like, "I need you to go away because I need to figure out how to deal with this."
Which, yeah,
And,
I mean,
I just fucking hated it. The only casting choice I was not a big fan of, and this is again, Josh Segarra as Danny Brackett. He's the neighbor that Sam was with. The cute boy from across the hall. I've seen him in other things. I think he's a good actor.
right?
They made him kind of goofy in this.
Did they? I don't know that I felt like he was goofy. I thought he was, I don't know. What did you think was goofy?
It felt like he was a jock trying to not be a jock, if that makes sense.
Kind of, yeah, kind of. Because he kept saying all the right things.
Right.
Which honestly is where they were trying to trip you up into thinking he was Ghostface, because he was always like, no, baby, you do you. Like, don't trust anyone, even me. You know,
Right,
all the
right.
things that... But on the flip side, their relationship from the very beginning, like, you can tell that at first it was just for funsies.
Right.
And they do have kind of a goofy rapport with each other at that point. And, like, I don't know. I didn't necessarily feel like it was a bad choice in terms of, like, how they...
It felt like to me he was playing fuck of Christ, what is his name? My mind just absolutely shit on itself, and I hate when this happens. The actor that just went through all that shit with Amanda Heard, Johnny Depp. It felt like he was playing Johnny Depp's role from the first Nightmare on Elm Street, but still back in that time, is what I'm saying. In terms of, it didn't feel like he fit.
Okay. I mean, like, I think we'll have to disagree there, because I liked him. I thought that actually they were pretty cute. I thought, honestly, I was happy that the therapist died, because...
Oh, he needed to.
Yeah, he needed to. And it wasn't... He did say that he felt like he was going to have to alert the authorities, but that wasn't... He said he wasn't equipped to deal with what she was going through,
Which
too.
means he's just not a
and
good
it was
therapist.
just like... Well, she didn't come to, like, a marriage therapist, so you...
Right.
But, I don't know. I really liked it. I really liked it.
All right, moving on. Special effects. They're special effects. It's a current movie.
right.
$67
right.
million budget.
Honestly,
not 67,
if they
$35 million
weren't
budget.
good, then shame on them. It was well done. Yeah.
There were a couple times where we were super into... Okay, so like the very first kill in the movie, the dude that eventually wants to... He gets killed. He's the guy,
Yeah.
one of the two that get killed in the beginning, but when he's killing his teacher.
Right.
And he's mad because she gave him a C on was it his Giallo paper that he did? It was either Giallo or the other Italian director that I can't remember his name right off the top of my head.
Giallo is the type of...
Or Giallo. Well, yeah, just because of...
yeah, it's, crap.
for...
The guy that did Suspiria.
Um,
D'Argento.
Argento.
Yeah.
He had a paper on Argento, I think, and she gave him a C for it.
Right.
So he was all for killing her.
Right.
But
But he also wanted the practice.
he also wanted to practice, and he went and he was stabbing her, and then he stabbed her in the head, and I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
Ah.
No, there were some actually really good scenes. Honestly, gutting the girlfriend and then her falling off the ladder. That was a good splat. This one I felt like I really liked the pace of it.
The pace was nice too.
It just, again, this was really more of like a part 2 sequel to 5, like an immediate kind of thing. So you just sort of get into it right away. And yes, Drew was killed off within the first 10 minutes of the original, but then there's all the backstory between Sydney and Billy and Stu and Rose McGowan's character and blah, 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 which isn't a bad thing for beginning a franchise, but once we're 6 movies into a franchise, part of the fun in that is you should be able to just toss everyone in the deep end and start, and this one did that perfectly. So
Right.
yeah.
So with that, baby, it's time for judgment.
All right.
What are you judging?
So with that being said, now I like the Scream franchise, sort of. I like the first one, the 5th one, and then the 6th one in terms of movies I would rewatch. Having said that, I'm going to give this one 3.5 knives out of 5.
All right.
Again, I think it's just a little too campy. I don't know what the word is. It's just not. It's not horror to me. You know.
Right.
It's a fun romp.
So this is the only Scream movie I've enjoyed since the first one. Like, thoroughly enjoyed.
Right.
I think a huge benefit to this movie is not having Neve Campbell in it. I think her star power, for me, is a bit of a detractor because of what your expectations are from 5 previous fucking movies.
Right. I mean, he's not saying he doesn't like Neve.
No.
Yeah, just like at this point, you're like, wow.
At this point, it's time to move on.
Right. Right.
You look at every other franchise, the one thing that you can honestly say about Scream that has been beneficial to it is Neve's been involved up until this point throughout all of them. Whereas you look at Nightmare on Elm Streets or Halloween's or whatever, and people change in terms of...
Right.
There's even a little bit of time where Laurie disappears and it turns into like other people that are involved.
I mean, they did flip this one on its head because Neve, the Scream Queen, the final girl, is the one that is continuing on, whereas like you look at the other ones and it's always the killer that has made it all the way through.
Right.
So, yeah.
And again, I feel like where this does kind of fall a little flat for me is it suffers from the same things that I don't like about other Scream movies. I always feel like the excuses for why people are doing these things other than the first movie are always just eh.
This one, yeah, okay. I mean, like, I could see your point. I feel like this one had the same family revenge, like...
But see, as a father, if my son were to go crazy, legit crazy, and decide he's going to try and kill a bunch of people, it does succeed to kill a few.
Right.
Like,
to make
and
a
you
movie.
get caught, you're nuts, dude. That's you. I'm not going to go get revenge in your name.
Yeah, but you can tell that this guy is, like, misogynistic, like,
True.
power tripping, and that's probably where his son got it. So it ties into the whole, like, genetics and nurture, nature. Yeah. But I agree. Okay.
And the reveal, well, the reveals itself aren't necessarily bad, but again, I'm always bummed that I'm able to get at least one of the people.
Right.
Every single time.
It was not surprising. Yeah.
However, like I said, the rest of the movie is thoroughly enjoyable. A lot of fun running around, stabbing, chase scenes. And again, it's not goofy fucking Ghostface that's like busting through doors, running into walls and tripping over tables and shit. Like,
I mean, he does, but for legit reasons.
Well,
yeah,
when he does, it's because he caught a fist to the face or a frying pan to the back of the head. Like, that's going to cause you to stumble. It's not stumbling because you're a fucking idiot.
Right. Or tripping over your skirt.
Right.
Yeah, which happens in the first one, yeah.
But yeah, so I do find this one to be a lot more enjoyable. I actually, and I've been holding my finger over it. We actually gave it the same score.
Okay.
I gave it a 3.5. Well, I'm going to go with Pothead Ghostface Masks. So for those of you that, if you've ever seen a scary movie.
Yeah.
Was it? That mask. Right. That mask. If I can find it.
Right.
That is my score. As far as future series predictions, because again, I've seen every single one of them. Just because I don't like the series doesn't mean I'm not going to watch the movies. I like to at least stay in the know so that I don't just always absolutely sound like a turd when I try and talk about things.
Right.
Here's what I would like to see, and I don't mean this in if they don't do this, I'm going to hate it situation, but in I think it would be a fun direction for it to go.
Right.
I want to see Neve come back because I hear she is signed on for the last movie.
That's what I heard, yeah.
I heard they figured out the money issues.
And I heard it is the last movie.
And I swear to God, I hope it's the last movie.
Right.
I want to see Neve come back, and I want to see her character team up with Gale and become the new Ghostfaces.
That would be fun.
And I want it to be Neve being like, you're not taking my place.
Right. And Gale being, I'm going to be a leading lady.
And Gale being like, I'm going to be a leading lady. And they would have crazy enough reasons to do that, just out of just pure nuts
Well,
type
and
shit.
Gale's lost everybody. Dewey was killed.
Right.
Blah blah blah. She's all alone. You know, Sydney's character. She has a family now, but you know, anything can happen.
Right. That's where I would think it would be the most fun for me,
Right.
because seeing the once good guys become the bad guys, and
Is-
then
is a nice
all of a
twist.
sudden it's a complete flip,
Right.
because it's Nev being a killer trying to kill off a Loomis character.
Right. That would be. That would actually be. Yeah.
It would be fun.
Now, the other person that has the potential to come back that I've heard is Stu, which is Matthew Lillard's character. Now, I love
and
Matthew
maybe
Lillard.
he could be instrumental in turning Nev.
Or he could just be a random third ghost face. I would actually like where there's more than one ghost face and they're not necessarily working together.
Right.
Like, that would be kind of interesting.
Like, could you imagine two ghost faces going at it because they think the other one's perpetrating on their shit?
Right. Yeah, because there's always been, well, other than the one, there's been two, but they've always been working together. And, you know, like the beginning of this one was fun, but it wasn't long enough in terms of that particular plot where the person who just killed using a ghost face mask becomes a victim immediately after.
Right.
You know, but then the whole way through the rest of the movie, the other Ghostface are working together. So yeah, I would actually like to see, I don't know, Lillard's been in rehab or, you know, for the injuries he sustained and is finally coming back to get his revenge.
Maybe he gets out, right? And, like, he's living the good life in terms of not being crazy.
Right.
But, like, he keeps having flashback moments where he sees things that reminds him of everything that happened. And maybe, like, and honestly, it'd just be like, you know, redoing a 13 Ghosts movie where he's freaking the fuck out. And,
If you haven't noticed.
right. But yeah, so it could be fun. It could
Because,
be fun.
again, he would have reason to go after Loomis because Billy betrayed him, basically. But also after Nev and Gale because Sydney's character, I believe, is, well, he and Billy stabbed each other, but, like, Sydney... Yeah. So, anyway, that's...
Right.
I think that would be fun. Do I think that's going to happen? Not necessarily,
Probably.
but I do hope that
I
two of them
hope he
return.
doesn't become the, like, angel character on Sam's shoulder. I don't need her talking to two dead people.
I see dead people.
Right. Anyways, that's
Right.
going to do it. This is probably the longest review we've done in a long time.
Right.
So with that being said, good movie. Watch it whenever you get
Definitely
a chance.
do.
I'm not saying it's a must get to theater to see.
No, but it's a good movie.
But
It's a good movie.
When you get a chance, watch
Yeah.
it. So with that being said, we love you guys. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.